Welcome, America. I've been thinking of a number of these issues today, the best way to address them. And I want to begin with this Manhattan trial. And then I want to begin, after that, with Joe Biden at the Holocaust Museum and Memorial. But first, this Manhattan case. And by the way, as a side note, I notice what I post on social media is regurgitated on TV, so I'm loath sometimes to post it because social media is very limiting on how you can present information. So I can present it, but it requires, in my view, a more substantive presentation. In the Manhattan case, you're seeing the naked use of the criminal justice system and judicial system to smear, threaten, humiliate, and destroy a political opponent of the Democrat Party. Indeed, perhaps the most powerful political opponent the Democrat Party has ever confronted. Therefore, tactics of the old Soviet Union and the French Revolution must be used to one degree or another. For the actual American justice system won't deliver to the Democrats what they demand. The elimination of Trump as a candidate or the crippling of him to such an extent that he cannot win. The Democrat Party must be protected and empowered at all costs, just like the Communist Party throughout the last 150 years and numerous fascistic parties. This is a show trial. It's not a trial based on Western values and principles, including those adopted by our founding fathers. It's a trial whose outcome is preordained, or at least that's the objective. It'll take a strong juror to reject what the Democrat Party demands of him. There's always hope. But that grave damage has been done to a once treasured American system of justice. This is the third trial conducted by the New York Democrat Party for the benefit of the state and federal parties. Joe Biden, congressional Democrats, etc. It is conducted for propaganda purposes, for political purposes, and to make clear that anyone who dares to challenge the party in a fundamental and serious way will be punished, ruined, if not destroyed, simply by having to go through such a tyrannical process. You will pay an unimaginable price, as will your family. Your businesses will be destroyed and seized from you. Everything you've built over more than half a century will be subjected to the party's wrecking ball. And the fact that there is a presidential election is precisely why this case and the others must be heard now, must be conducted by Democrat prosecutors and by Democrat judges under the pretext of enforcing and upholding the law, laws that have absolutely nothing to do with the alleged offenses. President Trump has been indicted for crimes that do not exist and have not been committed. He's been subjected to SWAT teams, and his personal phone records have been seized by the government. He was denied attorney-client privilege, normal appellate processes, and protections historically afforded former presidents. And the list goes on. And, of course, Democrat Party officials, operatives, and media are giddy. They urge his imprisonment for supposedly violating outrageously unconstitutional gag orders that prevent President Trump from defending himself against these injustices and abuses, while everyone else, including prosecution witnesses, are free to say whatever they want. And the judge is so thoroughly conflicted, his refusal to recuse himself underscores how corrupt he and his courtroom are. The judge allows virtually all information into the trial, especially testimony that has absolutely nothing to do with the case at all, and a case that has nothing to do with anything either. The most important way to fix this is on November 5th. It won't be a permanent fix, but it can be a first step. A Trump win will demonstrate that even these totalitarian tactics will not stop the American people from doing what is right. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of research on what it was like to be put on trial in various totalitarian regimes. It's just like this. To destroy a person's reputation. To bring in whatever information you can, whatever witnesses you can. To degrade the individual. To smear the individual. To libel the individual. There are no rules in this courtroom. The judge rules with an iron fist. But the normal rules that take place in a courtroom, rules of evidence, rules of witness notice, rules of what crime you're actually trying to defend your client against, those rules don't apply. We've actually never witnessed anything like this before, ladies and gentlemen. Never. The criminal justice system, the judicial system in America has been destroyed. You should have no faith in it anymore. And the judges have themselves to blame, as do the prosecutors all over the country. I don't even hear Republican district attorneys or attorneys general speaking out, condemning what's taking place. They hide in their own jurisdictions, behind their big desks. They don't want anything to do with it. Nothing. I see Republicans like Paul Ryan, Chris Christie, say the most damnable things. Apparently they can't rise to the moment to defend their country. They're still caught up in their personal animus. I see Nikki Haley. A few months ago, she wouldn't shut the hell up. Now she won't speak up. Just watching as this takes place. Because her moral center isn't a moral center at all. She wants to be president, and she'll walk over anybody and do anything to accomplish that. But she'll have to walk through us. This is the time right now that determines those who support this country and love it and those who don't. Will put aside their personal political animus or won't. Is more worried about what Biden's doing to our country than all the lies and the rest about Trump. We had Trump for 4 years. He didn't do this to the judicial system. He didn't defy Supreme Court rulings. He didn't defy federal law with open borders, student loans, Obamacare for DACA, and the list goes on and on. He did none of that. He was harassed and harangued, stalked from the moment he decided to run for office and won office. The administrative state rose up. The police state, the intelligence state, the massive bureaucracy, they rose up. They rule the roost. Who is this man? He must be destroyed. And they work with the Democrat Party. They work with the media, the leaks, the lies. The man didn't have a day of peace as President of the United States. Not one. Now they drag out this porn actor who had signed a non-disclosure agreement, who'd been paid at her demand. That's out the window. She wants more money. They put her on a stand over a bookkeeping issue that they're trying to turn into a federal election felony. I was the first to say, I notice I do that a lot, as the others burp it up today, This is a dead case walking. The problem is the appeal won't be heard until well after the general election. And so this isn't about the law. This isn't about a bookkeeping error. This isn't about a federal campaign action in which this judge and this prosecutor have absolutely no jurisdiction of any kind. You also heard a legal analyst say today that the effort is underscored, Biden's role, by the fact that the Department of Justice hasn't gone into any court to object to the violation of the federal jurisdiction by the localities. I think I've been saying that for 2 months, here and on TV and beyond. It's okay. They're catching on. That's good. I talked about collateral evidence. And the decision by the highest court in New York to throw out Weinstein's conviction because of all the collateral evidence coming in. Now that's common fare by the legal analysts, and that's good. And that's taking place. And the judge doesn't care because the judge's mission is not to be a judge. The judge's mission is as an operative for the Democrat Party and the Biden re-election campaign. Just like a judge in the Soviet Union. Judge isn't there to follow any semblance of due process or justice. The judge is there to get the job done. The conviction. Maybe we'll have a courageous juror or two. That would be great. That does not excuse what's taking place. Well, the justice system works. No, it doesn't. It's broken badly by the Democrats. It's not a justice system. Any more than you can call what happened during the French Revolution a justice system. Any more than you can call what Stalin did to his political opponents a justice system. You ever hear of Eugene Debs, Mr. Producer? You've heard me talk about him a little bit. He was a radical socialist. And he was given a hell of a time to Woodrow Wilson, who, of course, was a radical socialist and a racist. Democrats, both. And so he got Congress to pass, you may be familiar with this, ladies and gentlemen, 1917, the Espionage Act. A very broad act intended to silence opponents to Wilson and his entry into World War I. Eugene Debs was an opponent. He was an isolationist of our entrance into World War I. He's also a presidential candidate in multiple election cycles. But Woodrow Wilson couldn't afford to lose a couple percentage of the vote. I mean, his first election, he won because the Republican Party was split between Theodore Roosevelt and Howard Taft, and he snuck through. And he didn't want any problems this time around. He was a minority president in terms of the vote numbers, and he wanted to be a majority president. And he wanted to ensure his reelection. So he sent out the federales, I guess, to arrest him. And he ran for president still, did Debs, from prison, from federal prison. I think he got 2 or 3% of the vote. If you think the Democrat Party is beyond this, you're dead wrong. If you think the American media are beyond this, you're dead wrong. We live in a country where we have a monopoly party that pushes the agenda, the Democrat Party, whether or not they're elected. They own the culture, the colleges and the universities and the media. They own Hollywood. And they have no intention of going into the night quietly. And the greatest threat they face, or maybe have ever faced, is Donald J. Trump.